Hello everyone, I'm your hostess with the mostest, 8-Second Gaming, and in today's video we are going to be talking about the 3 best legends that you are going to be wanting to run if you are a solo queue warrior. Solo queuing is already a tough thing to do, and you don't want to set yourself back any further by using the wrong legend, so don't worry, I've got you covered. But just quickly, before we actually do dive into these, if you guys find this video useful and want to stay up to date with more, then please hit that like and subscribe button. Not only does it help YouTube put this into the algorithm a little bit more and promotes it, but it also helps my motivation so that I don't call myself a failure 3 inches from the bathroom mirror. But okay, with that covered, let's hop into things, and to start things off, we do have to kind of go over what makes a good solo queue legend. And the main thing is that they have to be self-sufficient. There are tons of very strong characters in the game, but not a lot of them are self-sufficient. One of the best examples of that is going to be a character like Gibraltar. Gibraltar can be very strong in the support role. He can poke for free essentially, he has the bubble to initiate some fights and get you guys out of situations, and he has an insanely strong, useful ultimate. But he requires his team playing around him to help him out, because if he gets stuck in a situation, he needs help to get out of that situation. And if your teammates are not playing off your bubble or playing off of your strengths, then they're just going to be all over the place and you are not going to be as useful as a Gibraltar in a 3-stack will be. Solo queue legends are also best if they have some sort of movement technique or movement ability to get them in and out of fights. This does play off the first thing where you are going to have to be self-sufficient, but it does go a little bit deeper because as a solo queuer, you are going to have to dip out of fights from time to time. You're going to have to leave your teammates behind. It's going to happen. Sometimes they're going to take bad fights, sometimes there's nothing you can do, and you're going to have to get out. But in order to get out efficiently and safely, you're going to need some form of movement. So with that in mind, let's move into our first legend, and that is going to be Pathfinder. Now, Pathfinder going into Season 20 got a huge buff with the perk system. The first layer isn't that amazing. He can either scan the ring consoles or scan the recon beacons, which is nice because you can either know where the ring is going to be pulling or see where everybody is to plan a better rotation, but they're not game-changing things. Typically, you're going to have one or the other on your team, so you can choose according to what your team is missing. But where Pathfinder really starts to shine this season is on his purple upgrade. He is able to choose the ability to have his grapple reset whenever he does knock somebody. This allows you to be so aggressive and play off of things extremely efficiently when you are in a solo queue environment. Sometimes you're going to do a lot of damage to somebody and you want to follow that up to keep the momentum going, to change things from a 3v3 to a 3v2, because that is going to be a lot easier to do in a solo queue if you can follow up your own stuff instead of having your teammates try to follow it up for you. But in previous seasons, if Pathfinder were to do this, then he would be out his grapple because it's an insanely long cooldown when you do hit a good grapple. You get punished for good movement on Pathfinder. So you would grapple in, you'd fight somebody, maybe the fight didn't go as well as you'd wanted to, you need to get out now, but you don't have a grapple, so you're just going to die. But now, as long as you are able to grapple in, get the knock on the person that you did a lot of damage to, you have the ability to get out of that fight if the need arises. And on top of the grapple being nice, he does also have a pretty useful ultimate to get him and his team into different spots. The zipline is great for rotations, it's also good for pushing high ground if a team isn't paying attention to you, or it's good to get your team into a different spot if a zone doesn't pull in your favor. It is a pretty useful, versatile ultimate if you are able to think outside the box every now and then. But one thing that I will warn you guys if you are thinking about picking up Pathfinder as a solo queue player is his hitbox is still incredibly large. He is a walking fridge, so when you do grapple into somebody, be aware that you are going to be very easy to hit. He is a legend that should have fortified but doesn't have fortified, so you can get punished for trying to make some certain plays. I would also say to avoid buildings if you possibly can, because him standing in a hallway, it's pretty hard to miss him. You can literally close your eyes, turn off your monitor, do whatever you want, and still be able to one-clip him. So play to Pathfinder's strengths and play around his weaknesses and you will be perfectly fine. But the next legend that we're going to be talking about is going to be somewhat similar because the next one is going to be Revenant. Now, Revenant Reborn has been a very solid solo queue legend since it came out, but this season it got even better because of the buffs that the perk system gave him. To be honest, I don't think Revenant really needed any help. He was probably going to be a very strong solo queue legend to begin with, and he was probably going to make this list anyway, but having the ability to choose very strong perks such as calling out enemy squads whenever you do wipe somebody if they're close to you, and being able to have your tactical refresh on a knock like Pathfinder's, makes him such a solo queue beast. A lot of the times you cannot trust your teammates in solo queue, so you can't really trust them to make accurate callouts if a team is near you or not. But as a Revenant player, you can be self-sufficient and you can make those callouts for yourself, because you fight a team, you get a wipe, Revenant will call out if there's anybody near you. Information is one of the strongest things in Apex, and having the information to know whether or not another team is going to be pushing you or third-partying you is very strong. Now, if your teammates are very chatty and they are giving out some good callouts at the beginning of the game, you can take the reduced tactical cooldown time, because it is still somewhat useful if you need to make some jumps around the map and you're not going to be knocking anybody to have it up a little bit faster. But most of the time, I would recommend you taking the calling out squads, because you're going to have the tactical refresh on your level 4 anyway, so it's not really necessary to have the reduced cooldown. And we already talked about this basically for Pathfinder, but for Revenant it's the exact same thing. Having the tactical refresh on a knock is so strong for solo queue because you can follow up your own damage. And Revenant also highlighting anybody that's low, it's going to make it a little bit easier for you, because if they do duck behind cover, you will still know exactly where they are when you are jumping to them, making your plays a little bit easier to follow up on. Sometimes if you get somebody low and you're playing somebody like Pathfinder, you try to grapple on them, you don't know where they went because maybe there's some buildings nearby, maybe there's some cover, some terrain for them to play, so it's a little bit harder for you to track them down, and you can get caught a little bit out of position in those certain situations. But with Revenant, his passive allows him to track those people because they do get highlighted when they are low, makes it a little bit easier for you to follow up on your damage and get that kill. Revenant's ultimate also makes him an absolute raid boss when it does come to some fights, and it does come up fairly efficiently, so you are able to have it most of the time that you're going to need it. Having an extra 75 shield that you can just pop on a whim in a fight makes things so much nicer, especially in the solo queue environment where you might have to make the hero play and go and be kind of a sacrificial lamb to draw some attention. This will make it so you're not getting absolutely beamed and you have a little bit more time to play off of the enemy's damage. They might not also be too eager to push you if they do see that you are Revenant ulted, because it can be a little bit tough to fight a Revenant ult form even if he is low to begin with. Sometimes you don't know when that shield is going to be coming back up, and you can play around your enemy's passiveness. And like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, a strong solo queue legend does have the ability to be self-sufficient, and Revenant is the epitome of this. His passives makes it so that he can climb anything and get some insanely strong off angles. It also shows him when enemies are low, so he can focus his fire a little bit more effectively to team shoot and get somebody down extremely quickly. Your tactical allows you to jump in and out of fights whenever you need to, and your ultimate makes you a raid boss that is extremely hard to take down. Your enemy is going to have to really work in order to actually kill you. So Revenant is just a very strong go-to solo queuer, and if you are a solo queue person, this is the legend that I would take a look at first in order to actually start your solo queue climb. But now we can move into our third legend, and this might be a surprise for a few people, but if you know me from the Game Leap channel, you'll know that I've been a fan of this legend for a while. And that legend is, of course, Vantage. Now, Vantage has gone through a little bit of a rough spot the last couple seasons because she hasn't really been that meta. And this season, it really hasn't changed in terms of the meta. She's still not a meta in quotation marks character, but as a solo queue character, she is very strong. In a full 3 stack, I don't think I would actually take her over most of the other support legends, but as a solo queuer, you're going to be able to open up a lot of different playstyles with her. Now, like I've made very clear, being a good solo queue legend is the ability to be self-sufficient, and Vantage does do that. She has a very strong movement and relocation tool with Echo, and she also does have her passive that a lot of people forget how useful it is. You are able to see what level shields the enemy team has and how many of them are alive. And this season, with the armor changes, it is a very crucial thing to know going into a fight what level armor the other people have. If you can see that somebody is on white or blue armors and you're on purple armors, you'll know that they don't have access to their level 4 perks yet, and you could be much better off in a fight against them because you have access to more perks and therefore access to more utility. You can also see how many people are alive on that squad, so you'll know if you're looking at one person, it is actually a rat and not just a full 3-man hiding in a corner. Information in Apex is very, very crucial, and a lot of people seem to forget how much information can change the tide of your solo queuing. And on top of all of that, she has one of the best ultimates in the game for solo queuing because it gives you a sniper rifle that buffs your damage for your entire team and also has the capability to grief fights from across the map. I can't tell you how many times I personally have been solo queuing and have been able to snag some easy KP from a fight that's been hundreds of meters away just by using Vantage's sniper rifle. And I also really like Vantage's sniper rifle because it unlocks a lot more flexibility with your loadout. Because you have your medium and long range covered with her ultimate, you have the ability to run potentially shotgun SMG on Vantage like a Mastiff and a Volt, or maybe even a Prowler because the Prowler is insanely strong this season. But if that's not your go-to, you can also run SMG AR or Shotgun AR or something along those lines. But you don't really need to have long range in your loadout because you have that covered with your sniper rifle. And I also do want to make this clear, as a Vantage player, you should never ever run a sniper rifle. You have one built into your character, there's no reason to be running two of them. Yes, I know the ultimate runs on a set limit of bullets, you have to wait for them to recharge, but as a Vantage player, you should always be carrying at least one ultimate accelerant, so if it really comes down to a pinch, you can be popping that, get some extra bullets in your gun, and be able to snipe with that. Running a sniper rifle is just putting a hat on a hat, it's not needed. But let me know what type of legend you would like to run as a solo queuer in the comments down below. And again, if you guys found this video useful, please hit that like and subscribe button. And if you guys are interested in getting some personal coaching from me, I will be revamping my Patreon very soon to offer some coaching sessions, so stay tuned for that. Thank you all for watching. Once again, I'm 8 Second Gaming, and I'll see you guys in the next one.